Disney friends, it's Amber with MickeyTravels. Let's do an updated Fastpass video. I'm going to have two separate videos. This one's going to focus on the families that maybe have older kids and thrill rides and just things that are going to have longer waits that may appeal to more of the older children. So if they can meet the height requirements of like 40 to 45 inches, plus some other things mixed in there that don't necessarily need height requirements. And then another video, which I'll upload soon, will be just for kids that are younger, so families with young kids. So let's narrow this down to my top 10 Fastpasses for families with older kids or kids that meet height requirements. I've tried to do my best to pick something from various theme parks so that you can have a few to choose from in each one. And there's lots of new things that have come out since my last video. So that is also why I decided to do an update. It was also a request on the comments. So number 10 for my top 10 Fastpasses, I have Kilimanjaro Safaris. And this is usually on my top 10 list anyway. And now with the Animal Kingdom staying open later, there are other options and different ways you can see animals, including night vision. However, I have heard that it is not the best to see it in the evening because you can't see as much, even though they have the night vision stuff happening. So I usually request my clients when they make their Fastpasses to think about Kilimanjaro Safari in the morning, Fastpass it then, and if they're not going to use a Fastpass for it, which Animal Kingdom didn't have usually a ton of things to Fastpass, but now with Pandora opening, it limits you, so you have to decide if Kilimanjaro is important or not to you. So anyway, I usually encourage them to Fastpass that in the morning. It'll be cooler. A lot of the animals are fed in the morning, so you may see more. But then I also encourage that you at least ride it twice throughout the day to see if you see something different. Number 9 on my list, I've got split between a tier 1 list at Epcot. So you need to decide what's more important to you and your family because you can only choose one. And that will be Sauron or Test Track. Trends seem to show that Sauron is the one that is being Fastpassed more often than Test Track because you can still find Test Track times about a week before in the morning hours. So it is suggesting that people are either choosing Sauron or Frozen Ever After. The reasoning I think for that is because Test Track has a lot more to look at in the line than Sauron does. Sauron now has 3 lines instead of the 2, so that line doesn't seem as crazy. However, people still Fastpass it. And then Test Track also has a single rider line. So if the line is super crazy, you guys as a family can enter the single rider line, may not get together, but it could be a shorter wait. So Sauron or Test Track, that's up to you. We personally Fastpass Sauron, but now with Frozen Ever After happening, we more than likely will try to ride Sauron or Test Track in the morning and Fastpass Frozen, if it's available for us. Number 8 on my list is Peter Pan's Flight. I know, this is a kiddie ride, right? So this isn't necessarily fit this category, but it is a must-do for any Disney classic fan. And the ride line is crazy, no matter what time of year it is. So it gets super busy like about mid-morning and stays up to an hour wait. Now, usually I don't encourage a Fastpass for this because the new queue is awesome. You've got a lot of interactive things. But if you're visiting Magic Kingdom for multiple days and you need another idea for a Fastpass, just Peter Pan's Flight is going to get you in there quickly. It is a short ride, but it's a must-do for almost every trip. And the lines are insane. So that is a reason why it's on this list, even though it's not necessarily a thrill ride. Number 7, Pirates of the Caribbean. With the trend of this ride starting to show longer lines, and with the new movie coming out in May of 2017, I have seen that this line has been kind of around the 40-minute mark, usually at peak times. So if you're in the Adventureland area and you're needing a Fastpass option to go along maybe with the Frontierland, Big Thunder, and Splash, this is close by. It's a good choice. I think a lot of people are hoping maybe Johnny Depp's on it because he was at Disneyland's, but don't get your hopes up. He doesn't travel to the Florida one often. He does go to Disneyland quite a bit. So Pirates of the Caribbean, it's not necessarily a thrill ride. There is a couple dips in it, and it is a dark ride, so it's not necessarily fit for kids, so that's why it's made this list. Number 6 on my list is another tier attraction at Hollywood Studios in which you need to choose between Toy Story Mania or Rock and Roller Coaster. Rock and Roller Coaster usually does not get fast passed. More than likely, most people will fast pass Toy Story. Reasoning for that, Toy Story has been iconic for having long lines since it first opened. That's starting to dwindle a little bit because it's not as new as it was, but keep in mind that there will be some crazy things opening in the next few years at Hollywood Studios, so maybe that will be obsolete of the Toy Story line when those do happen, if you're thinking of the future. Rock and Roller Coaster has a single rider line, so similar to Test Track, a lot of people just choose to not fast pass that and will ride it later in the day. If you do have to fast pass one or the other, just go to the other one in the morning and you can probably have a 20-minute wait maybe. There used to be like this run to Toy Story Mania when it first opened. And so everyone sprinted there if they couldn't get a fast pass for it. But times are changing. Number 5 on my list is Space Mountain. There are tons of fast passes available for this all the time. It's usually one I personally fast pass every single time. The waits are crazy sometimes. You get like hours and hour and a half waits for it. However, you could have fast passed it and instead you're fast passing, I don't know, Ariel or something. So I would recommend doing that. If you have thrill ride people in your family, then yeah, you might as well go ahead and put Space Mountain on your list for that. The lines will be crazy anyway. You might be able to, like if you do the 3 fast passes and then make a 4th later, might be able to get an evening for Space Mountain just because they don't sell out so quickly. So something to consider too if you don't want to make it your initial 3. But that's my personal recommendation. I always fast pass Space Mountain with a lot of the other roller coasters at Magic Kingdom. Number 4 on my list is one of the princess meet and greets. There are 2 options for you. So Cinderella, Rapunzel, Elena of Avalor, and usually it changes depending on who's popular at that time. And waits are about an hour for that. So if you've got a teenage daughter or maybe someone who's like 9 that can still ride a lot of the thrill rides, something to consider is the princess meet and greet. So that's number 4 on my list. Number 3 is still a very popular attraction. Fast passes tend to go quickly on this if you do wait until the last minute to book them. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Magic Kingdom. The waits for this are still rather high. And I have noticed that on extra Magic Hour days, those fast passes do go really quickly because more people go to the parks those days. You can probably find them in the evening time if you are going to wait the last minute to book them, but this is the most popular fast pass in Magic Kingdom. It's not a crazy roller coaster like some of the other ones at that park, but it's just a must-do for just trying it out because of the effects and the dwarfs and all the magical stuff. The queue line's really great, so if you don't want to fast pass it and walk through to try all that stuff, fine. But again, this is going to be the most popular attraction there. Number 2 on my list is the brand new Frozen Ever After at Epcot. It's about as popular as what Anna and Elsa meet and greets were back in the day when you were trying to grab those. If you're planning on going to Epcot at the beginning of your trip, more than likely Frozen Ever After fast passes will be gone. So you'll want to consider maybe going to Epcot later in the trip if this Frozen ride is a must. Still haven't got to ride it because, again, Sauron was brand new when we went to Epcot, the new one. So we fast passed that because it was a priority for us. So hopefully my next trip I'll be riding this. I'll probably grab a fast pass for it. Waits tend to be about an hour on this or more. And you've probably seen some videos of the day it opened and how it wrapped around the World Showcase. So Frozen Ever After, definitely you'll need a fast pass. They do go quickly and is the most sought after for the Epcot fast passes. And now number 1 on my list is definitely going to be the fast pass to get for probably a while, and it hasn't even opened yet. Pandora at Animal Kingdom is opening in next week, if you're watching this video in May. And there is a ride there, the Flight of Passage, where you ride on a Banshee. That is going to be pretty insane, I think, with the fast passes. It's from people that I've known that I've already got to go in because they're either an annual pass holder or something, say it's amazing. And there are going to be weight requirements, I believe, too, because of the way you sit on the ride. So look into that. So if you aren't into the motion sickness kind of stuff, similar to Star Tours at Hollywood Studios, I've heard this is comparable to Sauron, just a little more crazy with the way you ride. The other one at Pandora that you can fast pass is the Navi River Journey. So look into that. Not as crazy. It's going to be a sit down ride through kind of thing. So those two I would put. You can only pick one. You can't do both at this time. So you can only pick one. And again, Flight of Passage will be the hardest one to get. So something to think about. Maybe if you're going over the summer, they're going to be open till 1 a.m. So it's an extra magic hour kind of thing. So you might have a chance to do it without a fast pass. But we're not sure how late they're going to be open in the fall. So I know a lot of you are getting ready to book fast passes for the summer. And then fall will be coming up soon. So be looking into that again for Animal Kingdom maybe later in the trip, just like I've recommended for some of the others. All right, I hope this gives you some ideas. And if there's any other questions you have about any of these attractions or my suggestions for anything, please leave a comment below. I am a Disney travel agent and my services are completely free. I would love to help you. There are some requirements that you have to meet to work with me if you've already booked a trip, so you can email me and find out what those are. But if you're just researching now, contact me and I'd love to help you. Have a magical day and be sure to look for the next video on this series for the younger families. Bye.